The first sensation was cold. Not the gentle cold of winter morning, but the bone-deep, marrow-freezing cold that came from spending 200 years suspended between life and death. Commander Marcus Reed's eyes snapped open to darkness, his lungs burning as they drew their first breath in 2 centuries. The cryopod's lid hissed open with a pneumatic wheeze that echoed through the silent chamber. Emergency lights flickered to life, bathing everything in crimson. Marcus rolled out of the pod, his muscles screaming in protest, and collapsed onto the metal floor. His body remembered how to move even if it didn't want to. "Status report," he croaked, his voice raw and foreign to his own ears. The ship's AI didn't respond. That was the first sign something had gone catastrophically wrong. Marcus forced himself to his feet, gripping the edge of a console for support. The screens were dark, lifeless. He stumbled toward the command deck, each step feeling like he was learning to walk all over again. His bare feet left wet prints on the cold steel floor, condensation from the cryosleep. When he reached the observation deck, his blood ran cold for reasons that had nothing to do with the cryo-freeze. Earth hung in the viewport, beautiful and blue, just as he remembered it. But between his colony ship and home, a fleet materialized. Not human ships. These were organic things, all curves and bioluminescent pulses like deep-sea creatures pulled from the ocean and cast into the void. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands, the Carthex. The aliens humanity had been running from when they launched the colony ships. Marcus's fingers flew across the emergency console. The ship's logs painted a grim picture. The other colony ships destroyed. The automated defense satellites around Earth silenced. The alien fleet had been systematically wiping out every human presence in the solar system for the past 3 weeks. And his ship, the UNSC Perseverance, had been their last target. They'd boarded 2 hours ago. His crew of 800 colonists, still frozen in their cryopods, were sitting ducks. The Carthex were already inside the ship, working their way toward the cryobay. Marcus could see them on the security feeds, bipedal creatures with chitinous exoskeletons moving with predatory grace through his ship's corridors. Something primal awakened in Marcus's chest. Not fear. Rage. He'd been a recon Marine before volunteering for the colony mission. They'd chosen him not just because he could survive alone, but because he'd been the most decorated soldier in humanity's brief, brutal war with the Carthex. The war that had forced humanity to scatter to the stars. Marcus moved to the armory with renewed purpose. His body was remembering now, muscle memory overriding the cryofog. He pulled on a tactical suit, loaded himself with weapons, a plasma rifle, 2 sidearms, a bandolier of grenades, and a combat knife that had tasted alien blood before. The Perseverance was his ship. These were his people, and he'd be damned if he'd let them die in their sleep. He started in the engineering section, where the security feeds showed a dozen Carthex trying to disable the ship's reactor. They never saw him coming. Marcus moved through the shadows like a ghost, his training taking over. Silent kills, efficient, brutal. The aliens communicated through pheromones. By the time they realized one of their own was missing, Marcus had already killed 3 more. The plasma rifle sang its deadly song, painting the corridors in blue-white light. Marcus moved like water, flowing from cover to cover, each shot precise. He'd studied these creatures for years before the colony launch. He knew their weak points, the soft spot beneath their primary arms, the thin membrane behind their sensory stalks. The Carthex adapted quickly. They began hunting him in packs, trying to use their superior numbers. But the Perseverance was Marcus's terrain. He knew every corridor, every maintenance shaft, every hiding spot. He led them into kill zones, used their own tactics against them. He sealed bulkheads, vented sections into space, turned the ship itself into a weapon. In the cargo bay, 50 Carthex warriors waited in ambush. Marcus walked in anyway. He triggered the electromagnetic clamps he'd activated remotely, pinning their weapons to the metal walls. Then he went to work with grenades and precision fire. When the smoke cleared, only Marcus walked out. Hours blurred together. Marcus lost count of how many he'd killed. 50, 100, more. His tactical suit was scored with plasma burns. His muscles screamed, his vision blurred from exhaustion. The cryosleep had left him weak, but his will was iron. In the command center, he found their leader, a massive Carthex covered in scars, its exoskeleton decorated with trophies from conquered worlds. It spoke in broken English, transmitted through its translator. Impossible. One human. You should be weak, helpless. Marcus chambered around in his sidearm, his lips pulling back in a feral grin. You forgot who you were dealing with. We're not prey. We're predators who learned to build starships. The fight was brief and vicious. The Carthex leader was fast, strong, experienced. But Marcus fought with the fury of a man defending his family. He emptied his pistol into its chest, followed up with the combat knife, and finished it with his bare hands. When silence finally fell over the Perseverance, Marcus stood in the corridor, breathing hard, covered in blood, most of it not his own. The security feeds showed empty corridors. No more heat signatures, no more threats. He'd killed them all. Every single Carthex on his ship. Marcus limped back to the command deck and activated the long-range communications array. It took a moment to find the signal, but when he did, tears streamed down his face. Earth Command, still broadcasting, still fighting. This is Commander Marcus Reed of the UNSC Perseverance, he transmitted, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. Colonial ship is secure. 800 colonists safe. And I have a message for any Carthex listening. He looked out at the alien fleet surrounding Earth, thinking of the billions of humans down there, fighting for survival. You made a mistake coming here. You thought we were weak because we ran. You thought we were prey because we chose survival over pride. Marcus's voice grew harder. But we're human. We don't stay down. We don't surrender. And we never, ever forgive. He initiated the Perseverance's weapon systems. Old, but functional. The ship's main cannons powered up with a satisfying hum. One man just cleared your entire boarding party. Imagine what 800 colonists will do when I wake them up. Marcus smiled grimly. Imagine what 8 billion humans will do when they realize they're not alone anymore. He fired the first shot at the nearest Carthex vessel. The war, it seemed, was just beginning. And humanity had just remembered why they'd been apex predators long before they reached for the stars. Commander Marcus Reed wasn't just a survivor. He was a promise of what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. He was the warning they should have heeded. He was vengeance in human form, and he had just woken up angry.